Rob D'Amico is a former FBI supervisor and MSNBC national security and intelligence analyst. Tom Manger is former U.S. Capitol Police chief and an MSNBC law enforcement analyst. And MSNBC's Rosa Flores is with me here in studio. She has been following all the details of this fast-moving investigation. Rob, I want to start with what we just saw. What do you make of these anti-ICE messages, and does it help steer this investigation?
It starts the investigation, but you have to let the facts go where they take you. It may say anti-ICE on there, but I think his communications, interviewing his friends and his family to really understand is in fact that the way he was going, is that what he talked about? Is that what he posted on his social media to understand it? But it is now becoming a trend to engrave into your bullets and your magazines and other things that you're using with some of your theories and thoughts or whatever. So it's the start of the investigation. You have to have an open mind, though, when you're an investigator, and let the facts tell you what you should really come away with it. But it's starting to. It's now we're seeing this as something that they're doing. These people that get the idea, they see it, they like the results of it. And then we'll also have to find out, like, in fact, was it a mistake to shoot the detainees? Was he really trying to shoot law enforcement or ICE personnel, and he just missed and he hit a detainee? Or what was going through his mind, again, maybe coming across his writings. But the security at these buildings, as Chris talked about on the last one, I was in the FBI Academy. There was no gate guards there. And then Oklahoma City bombing happened, and they started putting gates to get on the FBI Academy and other buildings. And you're going to have to start looking at this, because the more violence that's targeted to law enforcement, the buildings really aren't designed to stop the elevated shooter to shoot into them.
So, Tom, obviously we are in the very early hours, really minutes of this investigation. So what's the priority right now to answer, at least begin to answer, the questions that are still out there?
Reviewing this individual's phone, reviewing this individual's computer, talking to family, friends of the assailant to try and get an idea of what kind of preparation was done. Was anyone else involved? Is this another example of someone who was dealing with mental health issues? By going and analyzing this individual's computer, you're going to get an idea of how he was radicalized. And he was radicalized to the point where he was prepared to go to a location. He had identified a target, identified a building, identified a cause, and was ready to not only take other people's lives, but to take his own life. So we want to get to the bottom of all of those questions about how he got to that point, whether anyone was aware of what he was doing. I tell you, I think Rob touched on it. You can't just assume by that what was written on that shell casing that that's necessarily his motivation. He could have been doing that to thinking it was funny, trying to put law enforcement on the wrong track. This is where, when you analyze the person's phone, computer, talk to his family and friends, that you get an idea of what his motivation perhaps really was.
So all that's being gathered right now, Rosa, but what do we know? What else did we learn from the press conference?
Well, Chris, this press conference was very thin in details, we have to point out, because we didn't learn much more than what ICE had already issued in a statement. In essence, we learned that 4 individuals were shot, 2 of them were deceased, including the shooter. And we learned from the FBI special agent in charge that, quote, this was an act of targeted violence. But we are learning a little more about the intense moments of that shooting, but that's from the Dallas Police Department. We actually have radio traffic that was captured by the Dallas Police Department. I want you to take a listen.
I'm with a witness that was outside when all the shots happened. He's positive that the shots came from the roof of 1120 Empire Central Place. It's a small lawyer building. Looks about 2 stories high.
And again, those are just a few details from someone that was caught in that radio traffic that was captured by the police. But I've got to mention, Chris, that part of this press conference, what we kept on hearing over and over from officials was that the rhetoric needs to be tampered down. That right now, emotions are very high around the country. There's a lot of division regarding immigration and the enhanced immigration enforcement that's happening all over. So we heard it over and over again. Even Texas Senator Ted Cruz stopped by that press conference saying, quote, demonizing ICE needs to stop. The ICE Dallas official also mentioned it, saying that the rhetoric needs to stop, and the mayor of that city asking for prayers.
So, Rob, I wonder, as you listen to that radio traffic, what you make of the way this shooting was carried out, the adjacent building, fairly small, only a couple stories, apparently with a bolt-action rifle. Does that add anything to a potential profile of this shooter?
I think the profile is going to come from, again, the interviews and the computers and everything like that. I think based on maybe what he saw from the Mr. Kirk assassination, he saw he had what tools he needed, so to speak, and he decided to take action. Again, a lot of them think about it for a long time, and then they see something that triggers them to start going to the action mode. But the more that you see from a prior one, it all goes into, well, that gave him idea. I have what I need to do this. And maybe he didn't put a lot of time into the reconnaissance of this, and he saw the building next to it and he could get onto it. He may have done this before and didn't shoot, or may have gone up there without a gun to see if he could have it. So I think placing him beforehand to see how much time he prepared for this, because he may have gone through it beforehand and looked. And then he gets into the suicidal threats. Was he talking about that and then wanted to put something on top of it? Or was it something he wanted to do and then end it? So you're going to have to really get into the mental health part there. But I think it's going to be big to see if he actually went up on that roof beforehand to see if what he could see. And then, again, trying to get in front of these. If you see someone on the building next to you and you're in law enforcement, now it's going to mean more. Like, hey, what's that guy doing up there? Normally you're only on a roof to repair it or something. I think they're going to have to start looking at that and catch people maybe in the reconnaissance phase of them looking to see if they can do something.
Well, given that there is, Rob, a federal facility right there, what are the chances that there are cameras somewhere nearby that might have caught something that will give them those answers?
I think there's definitely, FBI buildings are just covered in cameras, and I assume most federal buildings are, that they're going to have to go through. And then once they get the cell phone, they'll be able to see when it was at that location beforehand again. So they can start looking at the cell towers and tracking his movements based on the cellular data and other things. So I think definitely, and also if he took pictures, if he was up there and took pictures, those pictures are all geotagged. You can see time, and date and everything that he took a picture, if he in fact did that, and go back to look at it. Did he make posts after that? And putting that timeline, the old days, we still do it on whiteboards. You put a timeline down and you start writing when and where that person was, because it gives you an idea when you see that painting that picture of his movements, and when he may have bought the rifle, or bought the ammo, and all that's going to go into, hey, how long did he prepare for this? How long was he thinking about it? Was it rifle like Mr. Kirkland's assassin that was in the family, or did he in fact go buy it? Did he go buy the ammo? And figuring all that out. Again, where do you need to do the search warrants? Where was he living? Is it at a parent's house? Was he living on his own? Did he have a roommate? And then doing searches of all those locations.
Tom, there are reports that some 40 police units responded when this call came in. And I'm wondering, given the threat environment we're in, we certainly have talked a lot about it, for example, around Congress, around judicial buildings, judges and their families. In this kind of environment, are federal agencies generally coordinating even more closely with local law enforcement than maybe even they have before?
Absolutely. Not only are they coordinating better, they're training together. We did active shooter exercises at the Capitol, and it involved multiple law enforcement agencies. As we're preparing for big events, again, there is tremendous coordination between federal, state, and local law enforcement. It's just the old stories about the FBI or some federal agency coming in and bigfooting, some smaller agency. That may have been true in the distant past, but I will tell you that the FBI, all the federal agencies, state agencies, and local agencies understand that we have an advantage when we work together. Every single agency has expertise that perhaps the other agency doesn't have. The FBI brings tremendous forensic capabilities, but they don't know the city of Dallas like the Dallas Police Department does. And so everybody brings advantages. Everybody brings something to that investigation. And I think that the biggest challenge now is what the folks that work at that facility are going to ask the question: what are you going to do to increase our security? That's the second event in a month that has occurred. There was a bomb threat there a month ago. A person showed up and claimed to have a bomb. Now this is the second targeting of this building. They're going to ask questions, and I think that the use of technology is on the table here. Trying to make someplace a fortress by putting guards up around it only goes so far. But the use of cameras, the placement of cameras, and you don't have to put the camera on your building. You can put the camera on the highest place around and be able to monitor that. And all of these things are going to be part of the discussion as this investigation moves forward, and as these employees who work there, come back to work, today, tomorrow, they're going to be asking those questions.